Sorry, I didn't see you there, guys. Just flicking through issue 29 of Conquest magazine in my truck, and it's looking nice. How you doing, guys? Big Mate Dan School here again today, back once again with another Warhammer 40,000 Conquest video for you. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at issue 29. Fantastic stuff. However, in the meantime, let's just say Conquest is expanding into another territory, which is very exciting news for those people in Australia. I was going to do a really bad Australian accent for you, and maybe put on a cork hat with the corks that flick the flies away, but I've got a feeling not many Australians actually wear them that often, and I was going to be playing on my didgeridoo and stuff like that, but gets a bit old stuff like that, doesn't it? So let's take a look at this now instead. What can you expect in Australia when Conquest eventually comes to you? On the Warhammer community website, it's just said it's coming soon, so hopefully in the next couple of months you'll have it. And Australia is one of the currencies, the Australian dollar is one of the currencies we've always had on the back since the start of Conquest, just here. So we're looking at, it's not going to focus, but it's $19.99. So you're looking at about, translating that back to Great British pounds, they are great, you're looking at, that's £10.71 I think, and this magazine in the UK is $7.99, so it's more than we're paying in the UK, but from what I've heard from Mr. Clayton Bieber, it's not that bad really, compared to similar magazines like this. And the Games Workshop's pricing in Australia is quite high anyway, so you're going to be saving money on what you'd regularly pay in Australia, I would have thought, but again, I'm not an expert on GW's pricing in Australia. Hopefully that means we've also got New Zealand dollars on the back here. Hopefully that means it'll expand into New Zealand. If not at the same time, then in the very, very short after future. And then maybe, fingers crossed, you'll get it in North America at some point down the line. We had an expansion into Spain, and that was in January. Now it's March, so we're talking probably April, May. So we'll see, I reckon, a rollout in at least one more country by the end of the year, hopefully 2 more countries. But we'll see. I do wonder, I'm supposed to be talking about this issue, but I've got sidetracked now, so I'm just going to finish this point. I do wonder if the reason they've not expanded it globally is because they've not got the capacity to make these models in the quantities they need if they were to just expand it globally all in one go. That's a potential reason why they've not already got it out in all the countries across the world. But that's enough chit chat now. Let's crack on with issue 29. What do we get in this one? We get this sprue from Dark Imperium. This sprue contains various parts for the Ravished captain, which is torsos there, and then we've got 3 sergeants. We've got the Intercessor, Inceptor, and Hellblaster sergeants, and that's what we've got in this one. Let's take a look through the magazine, see what we got inside. Captains. So we've got lots of lore here about Space Marine captains, and it's all great stuff. It tells you the designations of captain, battlefield role commander, melee combatant, Gravis wargear, Boltstorm gauntlet, power sword, iron halo, and specialisms, leadership and warfare. As a melee combatant, it's interesting that he's got 2 melee weapons essentially. The Boltstorm gauntlet acts as a power fist in melee, and he also has the power sword, so you can pick and choose which weapon you use depending on the opponent you're facing. If you want to make sure you get as many hits as possible, it's better to use a power sword. They're both AP3 weapons, AP-3 weapons, and the power fist, or the Boltstorm gauntlet, doubles the user's strength, so it then becomes strength 8, but you get a -1 to your hit rolls in close combat when you use the Boltstorm gauntlet, because it's a bit more unwieldy and a bit harder to use than flicking a sword about. So you pick and choose the right moment to use which weapon. Moving on, we've got more here about the Space Marine captains. It talks about honour markings, it talks about the shoulder pads of the Space Marine captains. They have their own heraldry on the shoulder pads rather than your typical squad markings or battlefield role markings of other Space Marine units. And then it goes on to speak about Space Marine lore in general, a bit more in general. A brotherhood at war. I'm trying to read this backwards because it's reversed it in my camera. I'm hoping it flips it for when I upload, otherwise you're going to get a lot of backwards writing. So a brotherhood at war, it talks about the fact that there are so many Space Marine legions, gives us a nice picture here. This is from some Horus Heresy artwork. I can't remember which book it is, but I know I've seen the artwork before. Looks like an Imperial Fist there, an Ultramarine, a White Scar, a Dark Angel over here, an Iron Hand there, no doubt. Who's this here? Let's have a look. Oh, that's the Dark Angel. Oh, that's a Blood Angel. That's a Dark Angel. And, yep, there was an Iron Hand. Oh, and a Salamander hidden away in the corner here. There we go. Is there any Raven Guard there? They're probably hiding somewhere in the background, but I can't see any at first glance. And no Space Wolves either. I think it's a story. It's a bit of artwork from a particular story in the Horus Heresy, probably about some Black Shields that have come together to fight in a certain region of space. But anyway, they don't talk about that, so I'm just waffling on. They go on then to speak more specifically about the Imperium's history. So it talks first about the Age of Strife up here, and then about how the Emperor created the Thunder Warriors to unite everybody on Earth under his rule, to defeat all the techno-barbarian tribes and warlords that were ruling the planet, basically, or ruling different sections of the planet. And then it talks about the dawn of the Imperium and the Great Crusade, about the Emperor setting out across the stars to unite all of humanity, not just all of humanity that's on Terra. And then it goes on to talk about the Age of Rebirth, after the death of the Emperor. He's kind of in an undead state at the minute, sat on the Golden Throne, just being kept alive by machines. It's on a life support machine, basically, but then in turn that life support machine allows the Imperium to navigate the stars without the turmoil that was the reason the Age of Strife happened. The warp storms and stuff are held back, and you see the Astronomicon, and you can your astropaths can guide ships through space. Anyway, it's all interesting stuff when you get to read more about it. Let me know what you think of this format, by the way, guys. Are you okay with me doing it in the truck, or would you rather me do it in my studio at home? My studio, aka my dining room / computer room, which is where I normally do it. Then it talks about the Ultramarine Second Company. It gives us specific details here about the squads of the Second Company. It goes on to talk about the command of the Second Company up the top here. And then it talks about the First Squad, Second Squad, the Third and Fourth Squad, which are Primaris Marines, 5-man Primaris Marine squads, intercessors. The First and Second Squad are tactical squads. The Fifth Squad and the Sixth Squad are both tactical squads as well. And then it goes on, it's the 7th Squad that are the first jump pack squad we see, an assault squad. And they've all got names and stuff, most of them have anyway. Some of the intercessor squads, because they're so new, they've not earned a name yet. You get often named after a certain deed you did, or a certain event or campaign or battle you took place in, where you had a particular influence on that battle, on the outcome of that battle. So the 7th Squad is the Assault Marine Squad, which is your standard Marine jump pack squad. Then you got some intercessors in the 8th Squad, I think. Yep. And then it goes on to talk about a couple of dreadnoughts. There's no Redemptor dreadnought in the Second Company. The 9th Squad is a Devastator squad. We've got 5 heavy weapons here in this Devastator squad, and then 5 just like basically tactical Marines, just bolter wielding Marines, which is good for things like Overwatch. You never see it, I don't think, on the battlefield, on the tabletop when you're playing someone. You don't see someone take a Devastator squad and have 5 bolt guns in there. The Sergeant might have a bolt gun, but typically you don't see 5 bolt guns in a Devastator squad. So it's an interesting thing. Like, would you consider doing that just for the Overwatch, to support, to help prevent your Devastator squad being charged? It might be worth it. And then the 10th Squad is a Hellblaster squad. The 11th Squad is an intercessor squad, originally from the 6th Company. So they've been transferred over to the 2nd Company. Maybe they've done particularly well in the 6th Company. And they've been transferred over because the 2nd Company is more prestigious, or just because the 2nd Company needs them more than the 6th Company does. It's possible as well, I can't remember, but it does tell us in previous issues about reserve companies and stuff, so it's possible that the 6th Company are actually a reserve company. And the 11th squad, originally from the 6th Company, that's what I've just spoken about. And then it's the 12th squad, another assault squad. Skyhunter, the 8th Company have been attached to Captain Asheran's company in order to give his upcoming counter-offensive more hitting power. So they're actually from the 8th Company, but they've been transferred to work alongside the 2nd Company. And then it goes on, or it doesn't go on, it's just before all of that stuff, it says, by tradition of the Ultramarines, the 2nd Company have been given the title Guardians of the Temple. They basically guarded the temple on Macragge, where Guilliman was stored in stasis before his reawakening at the hands of the Inari. And now they've been given a second title as well. The title is, let me scan through this and see if I can find it, the Avengers of Ultramar. The Revengers of Ultramar. Yeah, the Avengers of Ultramar. And so they've got 2 titles now. The Guardians of the Temple, they still have that title, though they don't guard the temple on Macragge anymore, because Guilliman's awake and abroad in the galaxy. And yeah, they are now the Avengers of Ultramar. They go out and try and seek revenge on the Death Guard for the atrocities committed on Ultramar and Macragge. The next page, Champions Collide. This gives us another quick short story, another 2-page short story. You could fit it on 1 page, but we've got some nice artwork to go with it. And this is about the 2nd Company clashing with the Death Guard. So it's all appropriate to what else is in this particular issue. I'll just read you a snippet here. Here's something a Death Guard Lord says. Another servant of the dead Emperor come to meet his fate. So, that Death Guard Lord doesn't like the Ultramarines. He is mocking the Ultramarines for having a dead Emperor. Like I said, he's sat immobile on his golden throne on Terra, basically making sure the Imperium can navigate the stars. But the fact that he's in that situation, in that condition, the Chaos Space Marines and Death Guard, all the different war bands and legions, they all mock the Imperium basically for having a false emperor, a dead emperor. Carrion Lord is something the Eldar call him. And there's plenty of other monikers that non-Imperial forces give to the Emperor that the Imperium don't take too kindly to. And then, onto the next page, it talks about Plague Bearers. I always say it goes on to, which just occurred to me. But it talks about Plague Bearers on this page, and it talks about how the Plague Bearers are summoned by Death Guard sorcerers in order to bolster lines, fill gaps in the lines that have opened up over the course of the battle. So they're used to support the Death Guard. They're a lesser demon Nurgle, basically. Like I've said in previous issues, the Great Unclean One is a greater demon of Nurgle. The Plague Bearers are like the rank and file of Nurgle, and they're just like horrible. This artwork is absolutely atrocious to look at. If you're squeamish, maybe look away now, and I'll tell you when you can look back. This artwork here is horrendous. There's like spiders bursting out of his flesh, there's maggots coming out from around his eye and stuff, and all pustules and stuff all over him. It's horrible stuff. I hated the Death Guard for so long, but I can sort of see the work that goes into them now. The Death Guard and Nurgle in general, I can see and appreciate the work that goes into them now. The more that I look at the models, I've been building some over the past couple of days. They're fantastic, really. The amount of thought that goes into them. And then we've got another page about Plague Bearers, but it's the building guide. This building guide takes place over 4 pages. It's nice and simple. Oh no, it's 2 pages. Fantastic. It's over 2 pages. We only need 2 because we've only got 4 models to build. We've got 2 on this page. Flip the page round. Got 2 on that page. Fantastic. Done. Way. So there's not really much space, what I'd say, wasted there. Some people, like I've said in previous episodes, really like the painting guides and the build guides, but for me, they're not as necessary as you might think they are. Onto the painting guide, which gives us just the highlights, really. Not the highlights on the miniature, but the key points of the painting phase, if you like. It's not a phase of the game. And next page just gives us the other colours, tells us where to put them, and then it's onto the two-sided image. So we get the front of the miniatures there and the back of the miniatures there, and I think that's fantastic. It's only taken them 4 pages to show us how to paint these miniatures, and for me that's perfect. You don't want to go into too much detail because we've been painting infantry miniatures long enough now. This is issue 29, so theoretically for 29 issues we've had chance to practice painting. 29 weeks we've had chance to practice painting infantry miniatures, so we should know by now roughly how to do it, just by looking at a picture of the front and the back of a miniature. There's always like the Games Workshop website you can go to if you want a more detailed look at a 3D image to get an idea of where to put the metallics, where to put the reds, where to put the blues, where to put blah 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 blah. But yeah, I think it's great, and there's all sorts of painting guides online. Warhammer TV do some fantastic ones with Duncan and Peachy, so definitely check those out if you're looking for more tips on painting, if you think this isn't sufficient for you. Or if you're looking into paint different colours, you don't want to paint them as ultramarines anymore, you've changed your mind, you want to paint them as blood angels, as space wolves, as dark angels, as salamanders, as blah 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 blah. Anyway, on to the mission 13. This mission is about the Death Guard. The Death Guard trying to eliminate the Ravished armoured Space Marine captain before he manages to use his tactical nous and thwart the Death Guard in their attempts to break through the Space Marine lines and hold more territory on the planet. It involves Lord Felthius, his tainted cohort, the Foul Blightspawn, 2 units of 3 Plague Marines and 12 Poxwalkers. So, fair few miniatures on that side there. That is 18, 19, 20. 23 miniatures on the Death Guard Space Marine side. Death Guard Space Marine side? Sounds weird to say that. And then on the Space Marine side, the Intercessors, you get 2 units of 3 there. 3 Hellblasters, 2 Inceptors, Lieutenant Calcius, Captain Asheran. So you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. You're only getting 15 miniatures on that side. However, the Death Guard are always, the numbers are bolstered by the Poxwalkers, which aren't necessarily that effective unless you know how to use them right. So you'll learn tricks the more battles you play with them, and you've played with the Poxwalkers in a lot of battles now, so you might have picked up one or 2 tricks already to help you sustain the lives of your Poxwalkers. Though they are just supposed to be thrown at the enemy in the lore, you can get a bit more tricksy with it and maintain their existence a little bit longer. Then the next page is the Ravished Captain data sheet, which is great. I won't go into too much detail about that. It details like the Codex Discipline rule, the rights of battle. You can re-roll hits rolls of 1 for friendly Ultramarines units within 6 inches of this model. He has an Iron Halo, which gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. And that's the last page. So, what's coming next week? It's the Rise of Pattern Ruins, as I've said in previous videos. But then after that, we've got some paints, like I guessed, really. We're getting a resupply of Death Guard Green, and we're getting Celestial Grey, which is a fantastic paint for painting white, although it's grey. It's a really, really light grey. It covers a bit better than your standard white, so you have to have less passes at the miniature, basically. And we're also getting a medium layer brush, which is good. The layer brushes, I think, are around £4.50 or something like that. So this issue, just looking at the 2 paints and the brush, is around the £9–10 mark. Issue 31, that is. So it's going to be an alright value issue. I'll talk more about that when I'm reviewing that particular issue. Somebody said on a Facebook group, I don't know how true this is because I can't remember, that when there was a leaked image of the release schedule on a Spanish website when they first expanded into Spain, someone has said that the release schedule's been proven wrong by this issue with the 2 paints in issue 31. But I'll have to look into that in more detail and find out if it has been proven wrong. So far, up to issue 30, it's been exactly the same, the release schedule. So I can't say for sure. But I'll look into that for you, hopefully, if I remember. And yeah, let me know what you think of the issue. Are you happy with it? Are you disappointed with it in some way? Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.